Asalaamu alaikum warahmatullaah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Brother and sister in Islam, before I give you any information about what's happening now in Syria, I would like to give you some background or some feedback about what's happened in Syria in the last 40 years, because this is very essential, very important to know about Syria. The atrocity in Syria started in the early 60s. Probably some of your father was not born at that time. When Al-Ba'ath party came to the Syria and took power, and they start to implement atheist and taking off Islam from the life of the people. This is early 60s. And the first clashes happened in my city called Hama in the middle of Syria in 1964, where they bring the tanks and they start to kill, and they kill around 150 people, and they destroyed the most important mosque in the city called Masjid Al-Sultan. And this is the first. And they wrote, آمنت بالبعث ربا لا شريك له وبالعروبة دينا ما له ثاني. I believe in the Ba'ath party as my Lord, and to be Arab is my religion. This is how they start to put in the mind of the people. The situation started like this until 1978, where another atrocities happened in the Syria. They start to take all the scholars, and remove them from their position as imams, as teachers for Islam, and they put them in a shop to sell cosmetics, clothes for women, rice and sugar, like this. And it was very insulting for all Muslims. And then the clashes start to happen again and again and again until 1982, whereas the biggest atrocities happened in Hama. This is in February 1982, the 2nd of February exactly. I was an eyewitness for what's happened. I was 16 years old at that time. On the early morning, lots of shootings, tanks in the streets, lots of killing. They used to kill 2,000 people every single day. How many? 2,000 people every single day. There is no mercy, there is no heart, there is no human being. I don't know what type of soldier they brought to the city to do that. Within 3 weeks, they killed more than 42,000 in 3 weeks. So what's happening now? I don't want to say nothing, but it is nothing. I have this book. It is the only book written about this atrocity. You will see the picture of the city before and after. Before, there is houses, there is people. After, it's a ground level. There is nothing. And you can see, and they destroy more than 88 masjid, flat to the ground, and 3 churches. I will show you some of the pictures. This is before. The top one is before. The down one is after. You see the pictures? This is a church. This is a mosque. And this is the mosque. Can you see the differences? This is the mosque. This is being diverted from a church to a mosque at the time of Khalid ibn al-Walid radiyallahu ta'ala. And you can see the marks, before they destroy it, the marks of the Sahaba when they enter that place. This one is this one. This one is this one. They carry on. This is beautiful building. This is more than 2,000 years, this building. And this is now, whereas you see ground, it is empty, there's nothing. This is what they did in 3 weeks. Of course, this book is not there anymore in the market. Some of these pictures, I took it by myself. To do that is putting yourself under so much risk. And when they found out that I did that, they issued a capital punishment against me when I was 16 years old. So I have to flee from Syria, to run away from Syria, to save my life. I left, still at that time there is no beard, their mustache, 16 years old. So imagine the situation. These issues, at that time, nobody came to the city. There is no media at that time. Only the BBC Arabic radio, they used to announce, like for less than 1 minute every day, there is clashes in one of the cities in Syria, and that's all. This is what they used to bring. The only journalist arrived to the city after 2 months is someone called Patrick Seal. Patrick Seal is the only journalist arrived to my city at that time. I left Syria after the atrocity of 8 months. I used to hide from house to house, from place to place, until I managed to pay a lot of money to one of the security service to let me leave from the airport. Then I left the country. And until now, I never returned back to Syria. More than 30 years. More than 30 years, I never returned back to Syria. Then the situation started to go back to the control of the government, to the father. Until now, after 30 years in my city, there is no one does for any scholar to give in the city, to any masjid. It is not allowed. Not allowed to do any Islamic activities, like to give a talk in university about Islam. It is prohibited until today. 30 years until today. Then what they start to do, they start to terrorize the families. If a widow or her husband been killed during the atrocities in 1982, you are not allowed to support them. If you give them any money, any support, anything, then they are either to be in prison for a long period, like 20 years, 30 years or more, or to be executed immediately. So this is the situation in Syria. If you want to leave, you have to get a permission from the government, from the security service. If you want to do anything, you have to get that permission. If you want to travel, even for Umrah, you have to get that permission from the security service. Because I left Syria, they start to question my father. Every month he must go to the security service, and he stayed doing this for more than 25 years. Every month he must go there and give a statement about where is your son. Then he became very ill. When he reached the age of 81, he was unable to go to the security service office. So they start to come to the house every month to take his statement until he passed away 2 years ago. This is the situation in Syria. There is no hope, there is nothing, there is no any light at the end of the tunnel that the regime will change in Syria. His father, he passed away about 11 years ago. People, they said, oh, this person, he is the new president. He been educated in UK. And his wife from North Acton, she is a neighbor of Abdullah's. Her house is just a few yards from his house. People, they start to say a new generation will come to Syria. But in fact, if you are a Muslim, the situation exactly the same. Exactly the same. This book, it has the names of those that been killed in the atrocity of Hama in 1982. This is all the name. It's been documented. This is the best of our abilities to write these names, but lots of names still not there. Especially those that have been arrested. Some of my friends, he entered the prison at age of 15, and he been released at the age of 40. At the age of 40, full of illnesses, destroyed from inside, he has no hope. Until the uprising or the revolution in Tunisia, whereas Ben Ali, he ran away after about 10 days, 12 days, he ran away from the country to Saudi Arabia. Then started in Egypt, and few months or few weeks, let me say it, Hosni Mubarak been removed from the power, but still lots of work to be done in Egypt. Then in Libya and Syria, the same mentalities for the leaders. The same exactly. They have no understanding for human rights, for another opinion, no. For your knowledge, Al-Qaddafi, he used to put his shoes on the camera for the TV and he would leave it for 10 hours. So the people, if you open the channel of Libya, you will see his shoes in your face. That's why when he used to give a talk, when the uprising happened, you remember that they used to throw the shoes. That's why, because he used to put his shoes for 10 hours. For 10 hours. Sometimes he said, no, it's not allowed to cut your hair. So you found your hair like this. You cannot cut it. If they found you shaving your hair, or cutting your hair, or trimming your hair, you are in prison. You don't listen to the unique leader. You are not allowed to buy the fish. You are not allowed to do this. You are not allowed to do that. You have to walk 2 kilometers every day. So every day, and he's treating the people as a sheep, as animals, not as a human being. The situation in Syria is exactly the same. If you want to open your mouth, if you want to say a word, then you are finished. You will be, no one will know where's your body. The situation in Syria until 15th or 17th of March last year, whereas pupils, they are primary school, they wrote on the board, الشعب يريد إسقاط النظام. The people, they want to get rid of the regime. They arrested them. They are aged 9 and 10. And the mayor of that area is the cousin of the president. His name is Atif Najib. They went to him and they said, they are children. How do you arrest them? He said, forget about your children. I'm sorry, I will use this language just to tell you how much they are insulting the people. Forgive me for that. He said, forget about the children. Go to your wives and produce another children. And if you are unable to do it, send your wives to me and I will do the job. It was so insulting for every person. Even if you know that you will lose your life, you have to respond. You have to respond. There is no way to keep silent. So from that place, the people, they start to respond. The BBC, they called me and they said, what do you think? What will happen? I said, Syria will move if two things happen. If the first demonstration will go, secondly, if people they've been killed during that demonstration, then Syria will move. Because it reached the end of the limit. I will tell you why it reached the edge of the limit. Because if you want to do a business, you have to pay money as a price. If you want to do anything, to get your passport, here you fill application form, you send it by post, you get your passport after 2, 3 days, 5 days maximum. There in Syria, no, you have to pay. You have to pay money. I used to live in Dubai. Whenever my passport expired, I have to pay like £1,000 equal money to get another passport. To get another passport. It is my right. I will give you a compare just to understand the situation between Britain, Canada, United States and Syria. UK passport, they will say to you on the first page, the Queen and the government, they will protect you in any place under the sky. In Canada, they said, if you are in danger, we are willing to move our Navy power, our Navy force, to save you. United States, you are fully protected everywhere. Syrian passport, if you lost your passport, you will pay penalty. Just to compare. If you lost your passport, this is the first page. If you lost your passport, you will pay penalty. So, this is the situation in Syria. You have no right to say a word. The president is more important than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you say something about Allah, you pay 100 lira, this is the law, equal to £1 money, and maximum 3 to 7 days in prison. If you say a word, insulting word about the president, the law saying 3 to 5 years imprisonment. But you will never see the sun again. This is the facts in Syria. They say about Palestine, we are supporting Palestine. You know the border between Syria and Palestine for the last 40 years. Since 1973, there is no activities for the Syrian army on the border of Palestine. Since 1973. Definitely most of you born after like 20 years of that. Nearly 40 years, there is no activities. And the worst security service in Syria, a branch called the branch of Palestine. When you go in, you will not walk away. When you go in walking, you will not leave walking. You are finished. Only if you have a different passport. Like one of the British citizens, he'd been to Syria to live there. He said, beautiful country, I want to seek knowledge there. So he settled in Syria. He said one word. They put him in prison for 11 months. For how long? 11 months. And the foreign minister, he visited Syria 5 times to ask about him. And they said, we don't know where is he. He entered the country, yes, but probably he left. Probably he left. He used to be the size of his body like my body, 120 kilos. When he left after 11 months, he was 60 kilos only. 60 kilos only. I.e. he lost half of his weight. Half of his weight. Plus, they threat his family. If he opened his mouth, he will, and his wife, and his children will not see the sky again. Will not see the sky again. And he is a British citizen. He is a British citizen. Because of that, they release him from the security service cell. And they put him in the cell. The height of it is 150 centimeters, 1.5 meters. And the width, 1.5 meters. And the depth is 1.5 meters. That means he cannot stand, he cannot sleep fully, because he is 180 centimeters. So he stayed, when he left the prison, he was like this. He was like this. This is the situation in Syria till 2011. People, they start to uprise. In Daraa, the first, in Homs, second, Hama, third, Idlib, Damascus, here and there, Banyas, Ladiqiyah, Tartus, all the areas, all the cities, they start to uprise. And they start peacefully. Just only they're rising, leaflets or posters. And they walk. And they start to kill them. They start to kill 10, 20, 30, 50, 60, 80, 100 every day. Now they are saying, 100 a day. Do you think this is a true figure? Never. One day on the news, they said in my city, Hama, 25 being killed. I phoned my mother to make sure that she is okay. She is 75 years old. I said, how many people they died today? She said more than 150. I said, why in the news they saying 25 only? She said, this is the only they reached the hospital. The others, they've been buried in the gardens of the houses, in the garden of the mosque, in the parks. They are afraid to take the bodies to the hospitals, because otherwise they will take the whole family to prison. Then we start to hear something about soldiers, they are leaving the army and they're establishing the Free Syrian Army. Free Syrian Army started with a person, his name is Hussein Harmoush. And he announced it. Then another number start to come. Another number start to come. Another number start to come. But they start to chase him. So he ran away to Turkey. You know, the president of Syria, his religion is not Islam. You know that? Anyone knows that his religion is not Islam? He's a group called the Alawis or Nusayris. Those people, they believe Ali radiallahu ta'ala anh is Allah, is their Lord. Yeah? So these people, this group, this sect, there is 7 million people in Turkey, they believing in the same belief. And they are following the order of the president of Syria. So when Hussein Harmoush, he went to Turkey and he made the first camp for the Free Syrian Army, Syrian paid $5 million for 5 Turkish people to arrest him from there and bring him back to Syria. And they did that. And until now, we don't know whether he is alive or not. Then the issues start to increase and increase and increase until the last 2 months, all of you saw, if you are watching the news by the BBC, ITV, Sky News, you will see nothing. You will see only 1% of the truth. 1% of the truth. If you see Al Jazeera, Al Arabiya and others, you will see 5% of the truth. Only 5% of the truth. What's happening there? I cannot describe it. I cannot say the words. They are killing women by knife, slaughtering them from here like a sheep. Children, just you see the massacres 2 days ago. 25 children under the age of 10, they've been killed by knife, and 21 women, they've been killed by knife. This is just one of the pictures. We have until now 23,000, we don't know, unknown. We don't know where are they. Most likely they've been killed. This is the fact. We have 25,000 refugees in Jordan, in Lebanon, and in Turkey. 2 weeks ago I went to Turkey to visit these camps. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know how these people, they are surviving. I don't know how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is supporting them. Without the support of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is nothing. You cannot touch the water. There is no heaters as for water, to heat the water. You have to use the water as it is, and the temperature is -5, -10 degrees. And you have to stand and make wudu and pray Fajr. At that night, I don't know how I pray Fajr. Wallahi, I don't know. The whole of my body is shaking, and I'm coming from UK, and I have a good, coat against the cold, and I cannot. For them to see a coat on their shoulder, this is amazing. This is amazing. And all of these, they are like 18 and above. They bring their families to the camp, and they go back to Syria to join the Free Syrian Army. They said, we will not go back. If we go back again, if we didn't get to the end, if we didn't remove him, then there is no life for us. They will treat us as a slave for another 100 years or more. Now, what's our vision for that? What will happen? Is it allowed to speak about politics or not? Speak?
Yeah.
I hate politics to the end. I hate politics to the end. They buy and sell with your problems. They buy and sell with your pain. They buy and sell with your dignity. After 1 year, after all this life being taken away, United Nations, they said, we cannot call him a criminal. Otherwise we will block the way for talk and dare. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. After all these losses, you cannot call him a criminal? Why the president of Sudan, for 100 people, it is not confirmed, they charge him, and he is, being requested or being, asked to hand himself over to the Hawaii court. But this one, Never. Why? Because Israel never faced any difficulties over 40 years of his leadership and his father's leadership. For Libya, France, immediately they moved their air force to help the Thawar, or whatever you want to call them, without even asking for any, thing from the United Nations. They moved their air force, they start to hit Qaddafi's power, they start to hit Qaddafi's army, forces, even without looking for the United Nations. Why? Because Libya is full of money, full of gas, full of petrol. They are willing to move because there's billions of billions of billions of investment for the French people. For Syria, we don't have petrol, but we have a dignity. We don't have gas, but we have a people, they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the battle, it is not short, it is not easy, it will be and last for long. What's our duty now as Muslims? One of the brothers, he became a shaheed about 4 weeks ago. And while he's dying, while he's saying, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammad Rasulullah, he said, please don't say any more. Our heart is with you. It doesn't help. It doesn't help. We have to move. We have to move. At least, I know you are students, but at least you can save £1 every day. Don't drink your coffee. Save that £1 and send it for those people. They are protecting the dignity of the Ummah. Save that £1 to save a family in Syria. Save that £1 to save a sister from being, or from, raped. Save that £1 to save a life. In Homs these days, to have a painkiller, 1 tablet, it's like you have a diamond in your home, because there's no painkiller. To have Panadol, to have Calpol for the children, wallahi, it is equal to diamonds. How many children under the age of 5 they're being killed in Syria? Anyone can give me a figure? Anyone? You don't know. For your knowledge, it is more than 3,500 children. More than 3,500 children, they died. Some of them, they are ours. They are ours. The last one, they kill him by the knife. He is 8 hours old. They kill him and they kill his mother together by a knife. This is the type of people. Forget about human rights. Forget about, any type of understanding. Those people, they don't have a little type of that they are human being even. The way they are killing people, it is not, you cannot imagine it. You cannot say that a human being, whatever his religion is, he can do that. He can do that. That he can kill for the purpose of killing only. There is no reason. What type of crime being committed by that child? He is 8 hours old. What type of crime being committed by the mother? She is 21 years old. What type of crime being committed by a man? He is 86 years old and he's been slaughtered like a sheep. This is the situation in Syria at the moment. Alhamdulillah, today and yesterday, it was a good days for the Free Syrian Army. They move a lot on the ground, but also the losses is a lot. Yesterday and today is more than 250 people they've been killed. Yesterday only in Idlib, 40 people they've been killed the same way by the main roundabout in the city. They are killing people, they're hiding to the masjid. They are killing them there in the masjid. They are killing people, they are running and go into the church. They used to believe that they will be safe. The army will not enter the church. But in my city, in Hama, 2 months ago, because two men, they run inside the church, and the priest, he refused to hand them over to the security service. They killed the two men and the priest at the gate of the church. So this is the situation in Syria. Forget about any manners, forget about any type of, like they are human being, they are less than, forgive me for these words, than animals. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make the situation easy, to ease it for the people of Syria, to ease it for the people everywhere. They are struggling, they are facing difficulties because of their belief. The future is coming, inshallah. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but we must be united together, hand to hand, to save these families, to save this life, to save the children of Syria, and to save the future of Syria. This is what I have today. Jazakumullah khair for listening to me. I know the stories sometimes is painful, but we have to take the truth and move with it. Don't hide your head and say, I can't do nothing. At least you can raise your hand in one night and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely from your heart to give a victory for those people. Jazakumullah khair. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. If you have any sort of question, inshallah, I'd like to answer.
Shaykh, can you tell everyone like some of the stuff they're writing in the mosques, on the walls of the mosques, and some of the stuff they're making people do to pictures of Bashr?
This is one of the things which is the most painful things to, is sometimes they said Allah is Bashar, and then they bring his picture and they ask you to make sujood to it. To make sujood to it, and if you go to the YouTube, you'll see that child, he is 10 years old. He'd been tortured by one of the security officer, and he beats him up to kiss the picture of Bashar, but instead of that, with all these torture for that child, he spat on it in front of the officer. That's why they killed his body. They take his nail from his hands, and then they took his organs, and then they hand the bodies to the family. They used to write in every masjid, like, there is no God but Bashar. And if you open your mouth, you are finished. One of my cousins, he wrote on the board in the school, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ, the famous verse in the Quran. And the security officer, he came and he took off his shoes and he wiped it by his shoes. At that time, every student in the school, they get mad because of his action, and they start to beat him up until he died, but they lost 10 lives from the student. This is some of the activities. I don't want to tell you everything, because some of the issues is so painful for the Muslims to take it. Wallahi, sometimes it is so much to believe it, even that it is happening these days in 2012.
Jazakallah khairan for this talk today. I just want to have your point of view of what we are hearing a lot of defects happening in the regime nowadays. But just in new point of view, what's the role of just, for example, the Dar Fatwa in Syria? For example, we heard some defects on the, but like a lot of imams and ulama, for example, Mufti Hassoun and stuff. What are they driving? I mean, what's an imam with some knowledge and some stuff? He's seeing Muslims killed by thousands.
Even his son.
Even his son.
They killed the security service. They killed his son, and he didn't open his mouth. You know, the son of Sheikh al-Bouti, he moved to the opposition party, and he said, what's between me and my father is only that he is my father and I am his son, which is he cannot change, but there is no more link after that. The Darul Fatwa, which is this corner, they give fatwas for the people. You know that they cannot say a word. Because if you go to the opposition parties, that means you are putting all your family under risk. You are putting your family all under risk. You know, the head of the Syrian, the Free Syrian Army, which is Hafiz Al Assad, you know, 11 of his family, they've been killed by his doorstep. They killed them. The other one, about 9 of his family, they've been killed. So to stand against that regime, you have to pay the price. And the price, sometimes people, they cannot take it. So that's why they prefer to be a slave, to carry on with him. They don't know, they don't realize, they don't understand that your life only is being taken by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you die, that means this is your day. This is your day. You will not live even for 1 minute more, 1 second more. And this is, all of us, we know it. That's the Prophet ﷺ, he said, when the angel of death will come to you, there is no more 1 second, there is no less 1 second. So if you take it like this, you will be able to uprise, to say, to be free from inside. But if you don't believe, even if you are a scholar, but some of them, they don't believe in that. He said, I want to live. To live why? To be humiliated? To be treated like animals? This is what type of life? He said, any type of life is better than to be in the grave. But at the end of the day, if he lived for 100 years, 120 years, he will live forever? No. So this is the issues of the mentalities of the people, that they don't understand this point. If he is a scholar and a big turban and a very long beard, but he has problem understanding this point. And that's why we have these issues. Let me tell you one of the stories. One of the soldiers, he was torturing one of the scholars because he said something about the president. And he felt sorry because this scholar is old, very old. He's more than 70 years old. And he said, oh my Shaykh, forgive me. You know, I've been ordered to do that. And he said, Wallahi, don't say that. All the oppression is coming on our shoulder is because of you and the other people similar to you. Because if you said no, if you refuse to obey his orders, then he will run away because no one will support him. The same story in Tunisia. Because the president, he found there is no one left to support him. He ran away from the country. Because any president, he's taking his power because of the people around him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us about Fir'aun. Fir'aun, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, فَاسْتَخَفَّ قَوْمَهُ فَأَطَاعُوهُ. He didn't take any any bearing, any understanding, any value for his people. He didn't take any value for them. And they obey him. So that's why he was the greatest oppressor in the history. But Fir'aun, he used to kill, certain people. But our president today, forgive me if I said our president, he is not my president at all. I never said it in my life, even if they cut my head. He killing everyone, every age, Muslim and non-Muslim. We have lots of Christians in Syria. We have around 10 million. We have around 3 million Christians in Syria. They kill them. They don't care. You know the Muslim Brotherhood party, Muslim Brotherhood. I remember in 1982, our neighbor, next neighbor, they are Christian. And when the officers, they came, they said to the girl, they said, you are from the Muslim Brotherhood. She said, no, we are Christian. He said, it doesn't matter. She said, I'm working in the office of the mayor of the city. He said, even him, he is a Muslim brother. They don't understand. They bring to you people, what's in their mind is just kill and kill and kill. Any more questions? Jazakumullah. Yes.
I just want to ask one more question. Basically, all the videos that you can see in Hama and Homs and stuff like that is what the Free Syrian Army, basically just random people. They're not really achieving anything. And as you can see, like now after a year, next Saturday will be a year, Bashar is as strong as he was before and even stronger. You can see he's taking pictures, he's doing some fake elections, talking in parliament. Some people will just go clap for him, everything he says. What effect have they actually had over the whole year?
Okay, for your knowledge, Free Syrian Army is just start to move on the ground about 3 months ago. And for your knowledge, Syria, it has the biggest army in the area. Anyone knows the figures? Is 300,000 soldiers. 300,000 soldiers. And we have like about 15 major cities in Syria. So if he put 50,000 soldiers in every city, he will destroy it. He will destroy it. So now to see the Free Syrian Army there on the ground, that means this is itself, it is a big achievement. Secondly, as I said to you, you are seeing maximum 5% of the truth. On the ground, now the security service, they are not strong as it used to be before. If you want to go to Syria, to cross the border of Syria, you can do that. You can walk up to 150 kilometers with a bit of, to be careful, not to walk as you are in a picnic. But you can go into Syria now. But before that, you cannot move from village to another village. So the situation on the ground, it is not that strong for the Syrian government. What you see in the House of Parliament, this is his area, and it will be the last to be attacked. Because this is his ground, this is his base, this is his ways he brings the most of his security. So of course, any president, he will save himself, like Al-Qaddafi. He was the last few days in his life going to the media, making his talks and announcing everything, and he said, I'm winning, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Then over the sudden, within 1 week, the man is finished. So the fact on the ground, nobody will tell you about it because it is a war. And if you expose everything to the public, then your enemy will attack you. So that's why they keep it secret. What you see, it is not the full image, what's happening in Syria. But I'm saying to you, definitely there is a big change now on the ground. there is battles every day between the army of Syria and the Free Syrian Army. But as I said to you, the battle is a bit long, is not that short, because Iran is supporting the president of Syria with every month they are paying $6 billion to make him stand. The lira now, the Syrian lira, you used to exchange £1 for 69 lira. Now, just today, is more than 150 lira, the £1. That means the economy is doing like this. And Iran cannot support him forever. They have a limit to do that. And plus, inshallah, more and more soldiers, they are coming to the side of the Free Syrian Army. Lots of high level of the security service, they are joining them. But as I said to you, the battle is not easy, because he been there for more than 40 years, him and his father. We tolerate a lot, so we have to pay the price, and the price, it is a bit big. Any questions?
I just want, speaking about the figures, I just want to highlight something about the question of the brother here, that actually the Free Syrian Army are not just fighting the Syrian Army, they are fighting 3 or 4 armies actually, just from outside Syria, that's on the ground. So I know that, that's for sure, that's fact.
Yeah, there's soldiers from Iraq, there's soldiers from Lebanon, and there's soldiers from Iran. Yeah. And this is not a media things, this is fact. Go and type on YouTube, mashallah, now today is like our pages. Yeah? Go and you will see Iranian, you will see Lebanese, and you will see Iraqis. They've been arrested by the Free Syrian Army, and they used to fight with the regime of Bashr Al Assad.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh, for the very informative lecture. Inshallah, we leave this all more informed about what's going on in Syria. And I just want to remind you all to please donate. It's the least we can do. And also please make dua, because dua is the strongest thing we have as people in this country. This is the strongest thing we can do. Please make dua for people. If the brothers can leave first, in the A161 there's going to be refreshments, so make your way to the A161 if you want to. But the brothers, please leave first.